Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday Impactful Conversation. Tonight, I'm really excited about the conversation we're about to have. We will be joined by Lebo Masuku, who is a career coach. So she'll be helping us to dust off our CVs, help us relook and rethink our interviewing styles and interviewing answering styles and what we need to look out for and those sort of things. It's going to be an amazing conversation. As I said, welcome everybody to our Wellness Wednesdays Impactful Conversation. Tonight we are joined by Lebo Masuku. So as soon as she joins us, we will get on the conversation. So we are going to be talking all things career, revamping your career, revamping your CV. Sorry, I'm still recovering from an upper respiratory infection that I have. So if I pause a little bit more than I usually do, it's because I'm giving my lungs a chance to catch up with me. But I'm super excited. I see Lebo has joined us tonight. She's a career coach, so we're going to discuss what that means, what that looks like, what that entails as a career and all of those things. She's just come up now. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday evening. I've had to do a venue change because of ESCOM, but I'm excited because the conversation, as always, gives me great comfort. So welcome again to those who just joined us. Thank you for joining us. We're joined by Lebo Masuku, and we're going to be talking about revamping yourself to position yourself better in this critical, scary job, like just this life that we're living, because COVID saw a lot of people being asked to leave their jobs and having to do certain things differently. And now that the industries are finally opening up again, what do we need to do to position ourselves as best as we possibly can? So we're gonna jump straight into it. Hi, Leo, how are you? How's it
Hi,
going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Okay, so it's holding up. It's good to see you. I know we had to cancel the first one, postpone the first one, sorry, because our times are not matching. Excuse me. So
Yeah.
I'm really glad to finally have this conversation with you. Please introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and what you're about, and then we'll jump
Mhm.
straight into different stuff.
Well, firstly, thank you so much. We made it after a couple of, and with load shedding because, but we are here. We are here for the people. So my name is Lebo Masuku, in short, Lebo. So I've been in the HR space now for the 13th year. So I am an HR consultant. I'm an HR specialist. As a generalist as well as a career strategist and coach. And what I basically do is that I take people through their job search journey by giving them the right tools, because it's important that one must understand that job searching requires a certain level of skill. It's not something that people can just jump in and do it. Well, people are doing it, and that's why we're facing a lot of frustrations. That's what I
Yeah.
do basically. So I help people. So I'm not the one who's going to look for a job on your behalf, like people would request on a daily basis. But I'm the one who's going to give you the tools, the right tools, in terms of how can you best look for a job in a very successful way that's not going to overwhelm you, but that's going to empower you. So that's in a nutshell what I'm doing.
Oh, my
So
apologies. I didn't want to cough on the line
yeah.
here. Sorry.
So I'm not too quite sure how is the direction of this life is going to take. But mainly I know that we're going to be taking Q&As from people, basically that's going to ask questions. And we have a question box below that people can just put their questions there. But before we go into questions, I there's a couple of things that I'm going to share. What entails in the job search strategy, whatever the case may be, and then from there, people can engage with what I'm saying versus their experiences and what they want to know. So I don't know if that's how you have envisioned the whole live session. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
I
and
was
I
explaining. No, no,
and
sorry.
I
I was saying I was explaining before the live that I have just come from an upper respiratory infection. So I wanted to tell you that if you see me coughing, don't be alarmed, or if I pause too long in between, I'm still trying to get the full
okay,
lung function back. Yes, so that
okay,
was my only.
okay.
But yeah, let's start with let's start with the basics in terms of what you do, because obviously you won't do the job search for me, but when I come to you, what are the main things that I need to be looking out for? And like even before I come to you, what are the things I need to be
Mm,
taking
mm, mm.
before coming to
Yeah.
you for advice? What are those things? Let's start there.
So starting from the basics is starting from beginning is to understand that job searching is not the same for everybody. It's quite different for everybody. There are people who have been in the market and suddenly they got retrenched and now they suddenly have to go back into the market again. There are graduates who have no clue what's happening within the job market and they're trying to penetrate the job market. And then there are those people that have, in the longest time, they have never been in a position where they are in a work space. So they've been doing their own thing. So it's not the same for everybody. And that's the first thing that one needs to understand, that for some, it will take shorter period and for some, it may take longer period. And it can only take shorter period if you are well prepared, and it will only take longer if you are not well prepared or if you don't know certain things that comes into play when you are looking for these jobs, right? So for me, I'd like to share the most important thing that one needs to take into consideration when they go into the job market. Because like I said, job market needs a certain level of skill for one to have in order for you to really say, you know what, I am right at the door of getting that job. So there's a level of skills or certain things that you need to have as a person or acquire before. Um, and I would like to really discourage people from the norm that whenever they are looking for jobs, they start immediately. Like tomorrow you start looking for a job, you see a job advert, you want to send your CV. That's not the correct way of doing it, because you are setting yourself up for failure. So for those who have their notepads, for those who have their pens, I'd like to share these things, and I hope that you will write them down or you will revisit the live and just, refamiliarize yourself with these things. Number one thing, key important thing when one is going into the job market is to have grit. What I mean by grit is that you need to be in check with your mindset. Mindset is everything before you want to endeavor into anything. Why I'm saying it is because, number one, you need to prepare yourself for rejections. You need to prepare yourself for disappointments. You need to, prepare yourself for recruiters that are going to ghost you for the longest time. So grit is expected from you to have, and you need to prepare your mindset such that you are not allowing yourself to go in a depressive mode when you are not getting any feedback, any notification, any interview call of sort. So you need to have grit. You need to persevere. You need to commit into your job search no matter what happens, and understand that it is your journey alone. And just because somebody got a job within a month does not necessarily mean you will get a job within a month. So you need to be very, very conscious with the fact that you have to be in the right state of mind. Say, for instance, you're somebody who have been working for the longest time and you have been retrenched. Don't jump into job searching immediately. Number one, you need to sort of sort out your paperwork first with your employer. And again, you need to be able to allow everything to sink in, because it's a shock to be retrenched. You need to allow yourself to go through the process. If you need to mourn your work, if you need to cry it out, you need to cry it out. If you need to reach out, you need to reach out. Take that moment first. Once you have done that, then the next step is for you to really assess where you are, what has worked for you, what did not work for you, whether you'd like to jump in a job search or whether you want to start your own thing. So it really takes time. It's not something that you can jump quickly in it. So preparing your mindset, it's important. And then secondly, what is important to do is to always stay flexible. What do I mean by staying flexible is things have changed within the job market. Familiarize yourself with what is happening within the job market in terms of what are the in-demand jobs at the moment, what are the jobs that are made absolute. We know that we are now in the AI, revolution. Things have been replaced a lot by machines and systems. Companies have cut down, actually. So you want to be flexible in such that you know exactly what you want when you go into the job market. Be specific in terms of what is it that you want, because in as much as we've seen the rise in the unemployment rate, in as much as we've seen the difficulty in people getting these jobs, the truth of the matter is that there are jobs are there. You go on Indeed, you go on LinkedIn, you go PNet, you see that jobs are there. So it's all in what you are telling yourself when you go into there, and be flexible as well. Do you need to pivot? Do you need to career change? Because things change quickly and people evolve. Suddenly what you were passionate about, you're no longer passionate about it. You've, discovered something else. So always be flexible. Yeah, I see Makatlejo saying ghosting. Ghosting is the big thing. Listen, when you are going into the job market, you are going to be ghosted, whether you like it, whether you don't, because not every recruitment agency or every company or people, have, banozwelo, or they know what they're doing. So sometimes ghosting is what they specialize in. You are definitely going to be ghosted. The third thing that I want to share that is very key and important is knowing how to sell yourself and how to market yourself. The job market is it's very competitive, highly competitive. It's saturated with people that are skilled, people that are unskilled, and people that are semi-skilled. So knowing how to sell yourself, it's what is going to set you apart. And we're going to go into details how to do that. So being able to put yourself out there, it's very important. Being able to sell yourself, whether through your CV, whether through your LinkedIn profile, it's very key as well. So be on the lookout in terms of how are you going to make sure that you are going to sell yourself. It's important. And lastly, that is key, is prepare for what you are job marketing for. Preparation is key. You don't want to go into a new job. Suddenly you don't know what's happening, because like I said, things change. Always try to keep yourself abreast of what's happening within your industry. Always try to look out for the latest trends within your industry. If you are not working and you are looking for these jobs, so when you are in your interview process, try to do a lot of research in terms of what is it that you want to do differently from the previous person that was in that role? If it's a new role, what is it? How are you going to make sure that you add value into this role? So preparation is key when you are going into these job markets. So those are the 4 key things. First thing that people need to understand: have grit, fix your mindset first, know how to market yourself, always know, be flexible, and go there prepared. Right.
Okay. So you've covered the 4 things we need, obviously, to do beforehand. Now we come to you and I say, for example, with me, I work in television, and there are certain things now that I've been in television for almost a decade. I'm like, there's certain things I don't want. How do I then, on paper, because now we need to get to the part where I'm selling myself. How do I then, what do I need to change on LinkedIn, on my CV, that will position me for maybe the new direction I'm going for? Let's start with that.
Okay, cool. You are coming to what I'm going to. So the next step you want to do after you've done all of those, the 4 things, you want to have a job search strategy.
Okay.
A strategy is very, very key and important. And I know that it looks like a big word, but a strategy is basically a plan in terms of it's basically your map. So what you're asking me, it's going to be part of the strategy, which I'm going to take you through what it entails, what happens, and all of that. Like you say, the things that you want to take them out, how you're going to make sure that you align your CV and all of those things. Now, understand the part that aligning your CV, working on your CV, it's the last thing that you want to do. Last thing. So firstly, you come to me and say, listen, I want to change my career, but I want to stick around within the industry, or I've realized that things have changed, or I've been stuck in this thing. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. Now, the first thing you want to do is to do an assessment of your own career. Do an assessment in terms of where you are versus where you want to go, or do an assessment based on this type of skills that you have versus the type of skills that you want to have for a particular role, because it's going to change from time to time. And I want to emphasize that sometimes you see a job advert. A job advert should not scare you. If you feel that you qualify 50%, 40%, go for it, because no one develops a job advert having a perfect candidate in mind. Some of them, they do cut and paste. So you want to first do an assessment of where you are currently versus where you want to see yourself. You want to do an assessment based on, do I still want to be in this industry, or do I want to change industry? You want to do an assessment whether am I within the range that I'm supposed to be in, or am I within a particular skill level that I'm supposed to be in? Those things are very important, because these companies, they don't tell you. They do report to the Department of Labor based on their skills gaps, based on their equity target, based on where they've put people in which level. And levels are very important. Junior manager, middle manager, are you unskilled, and all of those. So you need to assess where are you currently? Are you sure that you are in the right level based on the number of years that you've been working for, based on the number of your skills that you have, and based on the salary that you are receiving? Is it correct? Once you have done that homework, and the only way to do that homework is to look within your company without you being a nuisance, without you being somebody who is seen as wapapa or and all of that. No. Do your own research in terms of sitting down with your line manager to say, listen, I realize that I've been in this company for 5 years, but I feel like there has not been much movement in terms of my skill level, skill set, where I'm supposed to be. I feel that, you know what, I'm not sure, but I want us to review my salary, whether is it in alignment with what I'm doing versus somebody else who's doing the same thing, but they're receiving something way much more than you. So take time to do that. And then once you've done that assessment, the next thing you want to do is to do a role analysis, like you say. Now you realize that, listen, there's certain things that have changed. I've been in this role for the longest time. I want to at least level up a little bit. And then once you understand whether you want to level up or not, you want to understand in terms of your skills, where are you at versus the one that you want to go into. Because what you're going to do now is that you're going to be able to compare yourself, and then you're going to see the gaps. And then you're going to be able to know, okay, out of these gaps, I don't have this, I need to have this. How am I going to make sure that I have this? And sometimes people want to go back and say, okay, fine, I need to have a qualification because I don't have this particular skill. It's easy to be able to align yourself quickly. Number one is internally, you can utilize a mentor, you can utilize your boss or anybody that can be able to help you harness that skill. Or you can attend a workshop, a, masterclass, or you can do a short course, online course, whatever the case may be, so that you can be able to align your skills to where you want to go. Thirdly, once you have done that, you want to be able to choose how many roles out of these 3 roles. These are the roles that I would like to, whether I want to be an HR administrator, I want to be an HR officer, I want to be an HR business partner, I want to be a generalist. There are different types and it differs for every industry. But most importantly, you want to also do your own industry research, a company research. Go in there, look into your industry, look at your private sector, look at your public sector. What is the difference between a public company, a private company? Which one best suits you? Are you comfortable working for private? Are you comfortable working for public? And understand your own personality in terms of how you want to thrive with your career and which environment best suits you. Because there's some people who are wired for a public sector market, there are people who are wired for a private sector market. It's not for everybody. And that's why you find people working for a public sector for 15 years, but when they go to private sector, they fail dismally. It's all because of the environment that you have exposed yourself into and the type of your own personality type and your characteristics and what you value as a person that will determine the type of environment that you want to excel into. Right? Once you've done that, by all means, you want to look at your own personal brand, how it looks like. How is your CV looking like? I know you've done all the homework, the skill set, whatever you have, you don't have. It's now easy for you to be able to do your CV. It's easy to know what is it that you're going to put in your CV. It's easy to know what you're not going to put in your CV. Now, you can have a CV ready. It's okay.
Yeah.
And people must understand that job searching in South Africa is different from job searching in other countries. It's not the same. How we do our CV here, it might not necessarily be the same as how other countries are doing. So even when you follow these career coaches, even when you follow the tips, be careful how you choose your audience in terms of who are you going to take the tips from, because it's not the same for every industry. Even how we set up our CV, it's not the same for every industry. Where you are now somebody who's got 5 years experience or 6 years experience, and now you want to go to a senior level role. If you want to penetrate that role, you want to be careful in terms of how you structure your CV in terms of you want to put an achievement-based CV versus a role, listing roles and responsibilities. You want to show them what exactly have you accomplished within the 5 years of your career so that they can see that you've done something. Or you can just list your roles and responsibilities. It's okay for other companies. They don't care about that. As long as they can see that, oh, you've been an HR officer for 5 years. We're looking for an HR officer who's got 3 years. They don't care much about going into detail. They'll ask questions during the interviews. So that's how you are going to approach changing things, how you want to do your CV. So you'd realize that the CV is the last step into the strategy.
Yeah, okay. So I think I just want to clarify something that I maybe I did not understand quite well. In terms of what you're saying, building your self-confidence and building and understanding and doing your research and all of that stuff. So by the time we come to you, is it something I need to have done the personal work, and then I come to you and say I've done the research, this is what I want to go into? Or when I come to you, I say this is what I've been thinking, this is why I've been thinking what I'm doing, but it's sort of like vague. I think I wanna know, when we come to you as a career coach, do I need to already have a plan in mind, or do I just come to you and say this is where I think I want to go?
You won't have a clue. You won't understand what you're doing. So basically, when you come to me, that's when we are going to do it together. That's when I'm going to
Oh,
take you step by step to saying, okay, fine. This week, focus on doing your research. And then you're going to come back, you give feedback. I've done my research. Okay, next week, this is what we're going to focus on doing. Next week, right? So, like that. Well, in terms of content that we put out there, you can take the content and do it yourself. But if you're not confident enough to do it, you can't get a coach. Coach have got they've got different programs in whatever that they're offering. The main one that I do, it's one to develop an in-depth job search strategy for you. We do it together. I develop a strategy for you. I help you how to do it. I don't do it for you, but I will help you in terms of, okay, in your case, this is what you need. This is how you're going to put it. And then sometimes people come and say, okay, you know what? I've been attending interviews for the longest time, but I don't get anything back. How can I best, improve? And then we do that part as well. I help in terms of interview sessions, preparations. And then some people, they are just stuck. Basically, they don't know what's the next step. They don't know what to do. And that we do what we call a career alignment session or career clarity session with you. It differs from what exactly you need. So definitely you are not going to do it alone. We do it together, and then that's where I give you steps in terms of, okay, from this is what you need to do. From this, and then it becomes effective when you do the work, because you must do the work. You must be the one who do your own research, not me, and come back and say, I've done 1, 2, 3. Which is another thing, is that always be proactive, because things change. You might not be looking for a job now, but heaven knows what's going to happen in the next 5 years. You're going to change, you want to change careers and all of that. So job searching, it will always be part of any human being who wants to be in the job market and they don't want to do their own thing. And I can promise you that things change, evolve each and every time. Things have changed now completely, where what's happening now is that recruiters are now looking for people, going to look for people, as opposed to them waiting for a CV. So things change. So definitely we do it together.
okay. No, so I just wanted to clarify that, because sometimes from the advice and the skits we see on TikTok, it's always, this is what you can do. By the time you come to me, you must always have a plan. So that's why I just wanted to clarify for the audience, where even if you don't have a plan per se, if you feel
Yeah.
like you need help, still go out for
And
help.
and I want to say that don't delay yourself by sitting there. Go out there and seek help. Go out there and ask questions. Especially with us, I did a lot. You know what? It's hectic. The amount of messages that comes through, where people are saying, I'm struggling with 1, 2, 3. The worst thing that can happen to you, it's me not responding or me not saying anything. But I promise you, when I get the time, I will definitely say, I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are people who you find that there was a lady who came to me and said, listen, I just signed a new contract. I just resigned from a permanent job. But unfortunately, with this new contract, they're telling us that there's something that they did not do in the process. So therefore, they want to cancel everything and start from scratch. And now I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. So such things is that, importantly, is that when you are going into the job market, and that's something that I'm going to share, is that don't rely on your CV quite a lot of times when you are looking for a job. You need to talk to people. You need to make people aware that you are looking for a job, whether it could be family, friends, anybody that you know of, because you will never know that there might be an opening somewhere, and then somebody will remember that, oh, by the way, Lebo said she needs a job, so let me. So if you want to speed up things for yourself, you've got to learn to go out there and be visible and tell people about it and network about it. And yeah, so do that. Don't just sit there hoping that things will come, especially because things change. Especially because now there's who people like us who really share this information, how to do it and whatnot.
Okay, so now I want to, obviously we've touched on the things, the internal work and the external work and the research that needs to go into play. Now, I want to also touch on something that you mentioned about the CV and how it's different if I'm looking for a job within the South African job market. But if I decide, okay, I want to broaden my horizons, I want to go to Kenya, for example, what are some of the things that are basics that need to be on your CV? And what are the nuances that you can put in to make you stand out, especially for places where they still require a CV and won't necessarily go to a LinkedIn page?
Yeah. So a lot of these other countries, when it comes to your CV, they are so big up in you introducing yourself. Your professional summary must be there for them, because from the professional summary, they are able to know, oh, okay, this person qualify for this job or not. Whereas in South Africa, it's a new thing that we are saying, put your professional summary on top. 3, 4, 5 sentences, not too much, to say, I am, strategic thinker, high performance driven individual with 5 years experience within the industry, with proficiency such as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm able to do 1, 2. That's it. And then the next step you want to have critical is to list your skills on your CV. A lot of people put their skills at the bottom. Don't put the skills at the bottom. Why? Because, like I said, it doesn't take a recruiter or a hiring person even more than 10 seconds to look for a CV to know whether this person is fit for the role or not. They browse quickly. So when I see in your CV your professional summary and the type of skills that you have, and I see that it aligns with my job, with the job description, automatically I'm interested in reading your CV in detail. Then I'm going to put on the shortlisting side of people that I want to shortlist, that I want to interview, that I want to see. I'm going to take time. So we browse quickly. Then we know this one is a fit. So have a professional summary to introduce yourself. It's now in. And then you want to put your skills at the top there, at the top. And then we see also with your education section, previously it was a big deal for us to put education section at the top. It's no longer something that you can put at the top, you can put it at the bottom, is still fine. That's the last thing we want to see in terms of your eligibility for qualification of that particular role. So those are the things that have changed with us. With them has not changed a lot. And the other thing that is important that have changed is the fact that when we list our work experience, we tend to list a whole long list of roles and responsibilities. We do that. What we do, we go into our job description or job profile, we copy and paste and put it on our CV. Change that a little bit. Not that it's wrong. Like I said, it differs in terms of industry, it differs in terms of companies, but also it differs in terms of the level of experience you have. If you have been in the job for 5 years, scrap the whole list of roles and responsibilities. It doesn't work. Even if you can list 3 or 4 achievement, things that you have achieved within a particular role in a company, whether you've worked for 10 years, you can still list the 3 things, key things that are really attractive to see that you are really an asset. You've achieved 1, 2, 3. It's enough, right? You don't have to list everything. You really don't. But some people, like I said, it's not such a big deal. You can still list them there. But importantly, for me, 2 sections that are going to be key for you is the professional summary and your skills section summary. Your education summary, put it at the bottom But for graduate, it's different. For graduate, they have to put it on top because when they apply for these internships, that's the first thing we want to see because we're not interested in you having an experience anyway. So for a
Yeah.
graduate, you can put your education section on top, put your skills section on top as well. And like I said, it differs. For a graduate person, they don't have much skills. But trust me, you have to put skills. And I'm going to touch on what is important for a graduate to have in order for them to do their CV because they struggle a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot.
Into it now, because we
Okay.
are talking.
Yes. So for a graduate, you don't have experience, you have nothing, right? But you do have some skill sets somewhere. It could be that you are a class leader, a class rep, you are leading a group, you have some sort of like leadership skills, right? It could be that you are doing a student assistant job, you have some sort of like a skill set that you can put in there. It could be that you are in the SRC or you are involved in some charity work, put there. Those things are important to do while you are in your third level year. Or second level because you want to build up your profile. It's one thing to hire a graduate who has got nothing. It's another to hire a graduate that have done these things because they demonstrate that they've got some sort of like a skill set. So your CV cannot be blank, cannot have an education section and your references. No, your skill set you must capitalize on that. What are you doing in church? If you are involved in a church, if you are an usher, if you are a secretary or you are involved in a community project, there's some sort of like skill set that you need to derive from that project and put it in your CV so that you can be seen as somebody that can demonstrate some sort of like skill set when you are going into the job market, right? And also be mindful of the duration and the time and the period of these things that we need that information. How long have you been doing this thing? Was it from January to December in 2020 or when? Was it for 1 month? Was it for? So it's important to have that. And then also don't only list them. Tell us what you were doing. What were your tasks involved? If somebody says secretary of a student movement, they're gonna list their role. I was a secretary where TUT from this duration. These were my roles and responsibilities. I was the secretariat responsible for dispatching minutes or agenda. I was responsible for organizing meetings. So that information is critical as a graduate to have, because when I look at it, I see that this person is not going to get shocked when they get here. They have networked, they know how to communicate with people, they've interacted with people. So it's very important to have that information on your CV as a graduate. Do not leave your CV blank. There's something that you are not aware of that you have a skill for and you're not putting in there. Let's say, for instance, people graduate who are in the Herbalife business, graduate who are in the Avon business. You are selling something. You've got some sales and marketing skills. Why don't you put them in your CV? Don't leave that thing out. I promise you, it's going to set you up, and separate you from the rest when you are looking for this job. So people overlook such information. They don't put it there. So put it there because it's important that we can see that you, number one, you are a person who's really determined of their career or where they're going. You're not somebody who's going to collect a qualification for the sake of it and then not do anything after that.
Okay, so, woo, my bad. We were there. So, one, I do know that as a graduate, if I'm active at church, I didn't know I could use that as part of my job search
Put
because
it. put it like, let's say they overlook such things. One, as a graduate, you are required to have some sort of like communication skills. So imagine on every Sunday you go to church, you communicate with people. Every Sunday you network with people. You are the one who serve people. You are the one who, you know, that is important to put it there. It's very important.
Okay. All right. So because we are within the job search stuff, I'm gonna ask one of the questions from Sinamile, who asked, how important is it to put job-related experience when applying for a job? Which you just answered in terms of setting you apart from other people. But is there a specific, Sinamile, if you can just ask, if I can just ask you to maybe elaborate
How
on
important is
what
it
you
to
do?
put job-related experiences? Listen, guys, you know, this is a two-way thing in the job market. There's a recruiter who's got 5, 6, 7, 10 jobs to fill, who's going through hundreds and thousands of CVs. And then there's a job seeker who's, you know, under pressure to make sure that are they putting the right information on their CV. I want to say this, which is very important. Before you go into the job search, job market, before you are applying for a job, there's some certain question you need to ask yourself first. Number one, do I qualify for this job? Do I stand a chance to get an interview call? You cannot tell me that you are a receptionist and you want to apply for a practitioner role somewhere and you expect to be called for an interview. Being realistic is very important because then you are avoiding disappointments, right? Ask yourself, do I qualify? Secondly, ask yourself, even if I qualify, do I have the experience that is required for this role? Now, like I said earlier, don't disqualify yourself just because you don't meet 100% of the role, because half the times people who are doing these job descriptions or advertisement, they don't have a perfect candidate in mind. 50%, 60%, you see that you stand a chance, do apply. It's very important that you align your CV to or your job related experiences to what the job role that you're applying for, so that you save your own time and you save the recruiter's time. It is important. Alignment is very key. Alignment is going to set you forward. Do not go into this job search market or applying for a job knowing very well that number one, you don't qualify. And another thing is, ask yourself, even if you qualify, can I be able to do what this role is requiring of me? Can I be able to do it? Because half the time people go with the flow of, oh, you need to make sure that you tailor your CV towards the job role. But the mistake that people do is that it's okay, you can tailor it, you can manipulate the ATS system and they will call you for an interview. You can even go in as far as, you know, because interviews are subjective, you can prepare for an interview and then pass an interview. But then you get stuck when it comes to you doing the actual job because you lied or because you have oversold yourself or whatever the case may be. So always ask yourself these two key questions. Do I qualify for this role? If I qualify for this role, can I be able to do everything that is listed on these roles and responsibilities? And sometimes it might be a case there is a job description there, but you find that when you get into the company, it's the job description does not align with what you're actually called to do. So, yeah.
Okay, so Sinamila has clarified. She says what she was talking about is she wants to apply for a job in an environmental field as a graduate, but she's worked in a non-related field. So I'm hoping that clarifies what you can put and what you can't put on your CV, Sinamile. If not, just let us know and we'll
Yeah.
come back to it.
The other thing that I want to say is that, especially for graduate, is that This is what is happening currently now. And that's why we have so much, the rate is so high of unemployment. We have a lot of graduates who have just graduated, but they don't, they're not working or they have not secured an internship. The biggest mistake you can do as a graduate is to wait for an internship after your qualification. Don't wait for an internship. While you're waiting for that internship, find something to do. And I see that people, and it's a trend now on TikTok where somebody showcase what their qualifications are versus what they're doing currently. There's absolutely nothing wrong. We all have started somewhere. The biggest mistake as a graduate you can do for yourself is to think that just because you have acquired a certain qualification, now automatically you are entitled for an internship. You are not entitled to get that internship. What you can do is that do not wait for an internship to come. Maximize, utilize the time you have while you are waiting for that opportunity to come to do something. There's nothing wrong for you to be a cashier. There's nothing wrong for you to be I remember as a student, I was working at Truett's, I was doing weekend job or whatever, and that helped me. It will help you because by the time that opportunity comes, you are well prepared to know how to deal with people. You are well prepared to adjust to certain work environment. So do not wait for a time where you are finished, you've graduated, now you're saying, oh, now I need an internship, and you thinking an internship is going to come. There are thousands of graduates out there, and there's thousands of internship opportunities, but unfortunately, not everybody's going to get it. And don't wait for it. And then you're going to sit and say, what was the point of me going to school? Go to school, come back, find something to do while you are waiting for that opportunity, because you never know where it may lead you. Because somebody who works as a cashier at Spa, you'll never know whether Spa at that particular time or year they're going to look for graduate, and you are at Spa as a cashier and you've got a qualification.
Yeah.
You need to be open-minded. You need to broaden your skill in terms of your strategy, in terms of how are you going to penetrate the job market. And sometimes it's not always the case that you need to go a straight route, where otherwise you're going to wait for 3 years for an internship, and then who are you going to blame?
Exactly. So before we get to Zamswa's question, Ayanda Teletsani had posted a question a while back that I missed. And she asked, can I apply for a consultation position with an HR officer experience? I'm not quite sure if that deals with specifically with your area of expertise, but I didn't want to miss it just in case.
Yeah, she can, but I want to be careful when I say she can, is that a lot of companies, they don't know how to align their job titles. They don't know. I've seen in some companies, they'll say they're looking for an HR consultant with 2 years experience. And they call the role a consultant, and they are missing it. A consultant is somebody who, in their own rights, have acquired so much experience within their line of work that they are now ready to consult with different companies in terms of giving playing an advisory roles and giving these companies solutions in terms of what their needs are. So a consultant is somebody who's really have so much work experience that they are ready to go out there and help companies in their own consultancy capacity. But there are those companies that will say they are looking for a consultant with minimal work experience. And for me, when I look at such, I know that, okay, there's misalignment of role title there, and it happens. So it doesn't stop you. Important, like I said, is that you need to look at, ask yourself, do you qualify for this role, and whether you can do the work? It's simply those two questions. Nothing stops you. But and also, if you are a consultant and you have 2 years experience, I would urge you to have candid conversations when you get there, to saying, okay, fine, do your own research when you go there. Be ready to saying, I see that this role is an HR consultant. However, based on my research and based on the structure of the organization, this is where I think this role fits. I think this should be an HR officer. You know, why are you doing it? Because so that it doesn't limit you when you want to move forward with your career to the next, level or to whatever. Because if you want to move from one company to the next, they'll say, a consultant with 2 years experience, we want a consultant with 10 years experience. And you see, so yeah, do your own research, but ask yourself critical questions when you go into these roles. Are they in alignment within what the job market is saying?
Okay, so Zamsa's question, wow. She's asking, can you please recommend market-based pay scale research tools for South Africa? Before we
For South
even get,
Africa, yeah.
yes, what is a market-based pay scale research tool for, like, for someone
So
like
so
me?
these are so these are tools that you go online to check if you want to know how much they're paying an administrator, within your industry. What is the current? So it's basically a tool. You go there, there's a form. It will guide you to saying what type of role you want to compare and what you need to know. So they differ. I've seen career junction now offers it. You can go in there, but also don't shy away from comparing international tools as well, like your Glassdoor. They give you a sense of how this, especially because now some of these companies are international companies. Especially when you're going into an international company, make sure that you correctly use the right tool as well. Another way of doing it, and I know people are scared of doing it, is informational interviews. Ask people around. Ask people around, whether it be LinkedIn, whether it be your peers or somebody that they know, to saying, I want, not to mean bad, but please let me know what you think. And again, I like universities do this. In the university, you will know how much this role will pay because they do put gradings. They do, and as well as I know as well within the public sector in terms of hospitals, there are companies who will put their salary bracket there. And also because of employment equity, and I know that we know that equal pay, equal job, equal pay, sometimes it might not be a realistic exercise for people who are doing the same job to be paid the same based on the level of experience, based of how long have they been with that company, and based on their qualifications as well, the level of qualifications they have. So that's a whole exercise that you need to go there prepared to do. Take time. Just sometimes, we want to say people get informed. I like to say to people, when you are an employee, get informed in every angle. Number one, get informed in terms of how your payslip is structured. Get informed in terms of what are you entitled in terms of your company benefits. Take time to read on these things because they impact you as an employee directly. Be informed. Be well informed. Take time to do research based on these things.
Okay, so Zamswa, thank you. I hope your question is answered. Ayanda Telezan is saying, thank you, Lebo. So I'm assuming she got the correct.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so I think because July is savings month, and that's what we're focusing on, the money aspect of things. I just want to clarify something because it's something that when I started, my mom was like, never ever do that. When I go into an interview and, for example, they don't go straight into my salary scale, how do I, within that, before we even start working, say to them, look, I see you're offering me 1,000. but I believe what I bring and the experience and knowledge and whatever is worth 2,000. How do I start that conversation during the interview process? And if, for example, they say, okay, let's start you off at 1,000. In 3 months' time, we'll review and come back. How do I make sure that they stick to the agreed amount, whether
Yeah.
it's immediate or at a later time?
So salary negotiation during your interview process is the last step. Do not raise salary issues during an interview. It's a bit untidy. First thing is first. Before you even go through an interview process, if you are so keen to understand how much they pay, ask that in the beginning. If you are doing this thing via a recruitment agency, and some recruitment agencies, they don't tell this information, but be persistent in terms of understanding how much this job will offer you. If you don't have that information, it's the hiring company that's doing that. Continue with the interview process. Do not raise that question. You will raise it when you are successful, and now they have given you an offer, right? And then when they've given you an offer, that's when now you need to take time to look at the offer. Do not accept an offer without a dummy pay slip. Don't. Because that dummy pay slip,
What is a dummy pay?
yeah, a dummy payslip is basically a payslip that's going to show you how much is going to be your basic salary, what are the benefits, what are your allowances, what are your deductions, and what is your net, right? You will need this information to determine whether you are taking this offer or you are not satisfied with the offer. And that's when you are able to then negotiate to start the negotiation, to say, listen, thank you for the offer and thank you for the dummy payslip. Based on your dummy payslip and based on the breakdown, and ask them to give you a realistic view of the payslip, not just an estimate, a realistic view, because an HR person is going to go into the system and they're going to disguise you as an employee. They're going to build your own profile there, and then the payslip will come out. So that's when you start the conversation. And when you start the conversation, remember, this is about them. It's not about you. You have to convince them that you are the person for the job. You have to convince them that you can do this job. You have to convince them that you have done this job successfully and these were your results. You have to convince them that you have done your research in terms of the benchmarking of the salary within the industry. And sometimes, like, industries differ. Sometimes you could short sell yourself when it comes to salary negotiation, not understanding what the another industry is offering. It's totally different from industry to industry, how they offer and how they put their benchmarking. That's how you start the negotiation process. At the end of your process, at the beginning of the process, have a light. And if you're not satisfied, by all means, you can tell them why you think they are paying you less, and don't focus too much on, oh, I've got a qualification, oh, I've got so much experience. Tell them, within the years of experience, I managed to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it's tangible. It's results that are there, that even when they do a reference check, they can corroborate with your referee, and it's there. And tell them that you've done a research and you feel that this is where you need to be. And don't push it too hard. Don't push it too hard. When you are a graduate, you have no business in negotiating for a salary. No business. No business. If they give you a stipend of 4,000 rand, take it. You have no business to say, no, I'm going to be traveling, I'm going to be spending this much. It's not their problem. Remember, the purpose of an internship is for them to transfer a skill to you. At that particular time, you are not an employee, you are a graduate student who is so hungry to get a skill set. So the issue of a stipend, because when your friend has bought a mini kupanyana or a starter pack, your friend is staying in that sabapu, or when you want to stay at mid-rent as opposed to staying at Tembisa, and then you are telling them that they are paying you less. No, as long as they are paying you within the minimum wage of South Africa as stipulated, you are good to go. Don't.
Okay.
Graduates, don't negotiate.
Don't negotiate if you're a graduate. If you get an internship, buck over 4,000, take it. Don't ask anything. Okay, so I think
Nowadays we were getting 2,000 rand as a stipend, and believe you me, as long as I can go to work, that was enough. That was enough. Right now, there are graduate stipends, 6,000 stipends these days, and it's a lot, guys.
it's a lot. Okay,
Even when you are negotiating a salary, you don't say things like, "Oh no, transport, you are staying far, accommodation." It is not about you, it's about them. Yeah.
It's okay. All right. Yeah, I think we're gonna end tonight's session here. But Lebo, I genuinely believe we need another session, not specifically because now you've given us the basics of what we need to look out for. I think the next session we really need to delve deeper into the mistakes we make once we're in. Because you touched a little bit on the fact that you have a wonderful CV, you're overselling yourself, and then you're in, and you're like, shucks, I don't know how to do that. But on your CV and when we're doing the interview process, we were pretending like you know. So I think we definitely need to schedule another session to talk about that. But thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for everyone who joined. Thank you for the questions. I think mostly the graduates, and I think someone on the live asked whether or not I'll save it. I will, because a lot of the things I didn't even know, and I've been working for a long time. I didn't know I needed to ask for a dummy piece.
Yeah, it's a whole different ballgame when you are talking about a graduate who's job searching or a professional who've been in the game and they're job searching. And I feel that there's a lot of need in terms of really focusing on the graduate when they are going into this job searching. Because they can get excited, but when they get there, what is it that they need to do when they get there? No one is telling them how rough it can be. No one is telling them what they need to avoid, how they need to position themselves. The one thing that I can tell you, and I can promise you, it's easy for a graduate who really wants to get a permanent job to get a permanent job based on the information that they can know how to exactly do it. And it's easy for a graduate to not get a job after an internship. Don't get an internship and allow yourself to be unemployed after the internship. Go into an internship with the end goal in mind of saying, I want to be permanent in this role. I want to be. And there's nothing wrong to look. Rent the coffee, rent the copy, like, but go there with a vision, with a purpose in mind. When you go, that's why I said preparation is key. When you go into an internship for 12 months, go there ready. Go there with a plan, because not every company know how to administer these internships. Not every companies have the best interest of the intern. All they want to do is to score 100% or BE points somewhere and to tick in the box that they had graduate, but they don't really care about your development. Go there ready, go there equipped, go there having the knowledge of what is it that is required of them, what is it required of you, and how are you going to make sure that you are setting yourself for success in the future. Because if you go there hoping without nothing, they're going to ask you to make copies the whole week, and then you're going to be excited every single day going to it.
That's that's not gonna
So
work.
it's
Okay.
another series on its own of graduates, and yeah, it's
So
another
I'm
series.
that you've agreed to be part of that series once we make plans because you've already
Yeah,
started. We're just going to finish it off because I do think it's important to understand um, beyond the CV, beyond getting the job. We need to understand that.
yeah. Also, people can follow me. I'm going to also launch a graduate development program. It's going to be a separate thing that it's just going to be dedicated to graduates only in terms of how to position themselves in the market, how to set themselves up for promotions after promotions, how to navigate the jobs market, because this information is not available for them. And it's very important for them to have that information and to prepare themselves mentally in, and what to expect, because it's rough out there. It's very rough.
It really
It's very rough
and
out there. So yeah,
yes, so
I'm really excited to do this with the girl boss today, and then we're going to continue the session, and then we're going to unpack a lot of things. What I've said, we need to unpack it further. Uh, CV on its own has got its own session. Interviews on its own, they've got their own session. Salary negotiations, they've got their own session. So it's kind of like different. But if we were to recap, if we were to recap for everything that I've just said, importantly is to understand when you go into the market, look into your mindset, be flexible, always be flexible, and know how to market yourself. Always go there prepared. Have a job search strategy. Your strategy will have to include your assessment, your skills gap, industry research, your personal branding in terms of how your LinkedIn should look like, and your CV. And when you are applying for a job, two key questions you need to ask yourself: do you qualify for this job? Can you be able to do this job? And again, does this job align with your long-term career goal? Don't just do something that you know it's not going to align at the end of the day. There's nothing wrong to go be a cashier, but what is it out of this cashier role that is going to help you in the long term, in the long run? Importantly.
exactly. And with that, we're gonna close tonight's session, which was a broad overview of the tiny little bits that we need. Um, New date, new time slot for the other conversations that we need to be unpacking. But also, Lebo Masuku, thank you so much for joining us. I will share her details with the live once I've saved it so that you can go and check her out. Follow her, follow the things she's saying, follow through in the terms of the things that she's teaching you. And if you want a little bit more information, there are contact. I know you've got contact details on your Instagram page where people can get in touch with
Yeah.
you should they need all
Yeah.
of that. So don't worry, I've left you in safe hands. Thank you so much for joining this week's Wellness Wednesday Impactful Conversation. I hope you were
Thank you.
impacted. I'm going to take everything from here and we're going to be great and do amazing things. Woo! Until we meet again,
Yeah.
enjoy the rest of your
Until we meet again. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so
day.
much. Bye.
Bye.